I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. Adaptive sports are changing the way people are living their lives. With the right equipment and know-how, people with physical impairments can enjoy the same recreations as their able-bodied counterparts.
OPAF and Eastern Michigan University are working together to bring First Clinics to Washtenaw County.
We're having our 8th annual Learn to Swim, Kayak, and Scuba Dive. And it's an adaptive program that's designed to reintegrate people with physical disabilities back into the community.
It offers people something that they thought may have literally been taken away from them, and we show them what the opportunities are and what the possibilities are, and we show them how to take it to the next level.
Once you're in the water, disabilities melt away because you're buoyant. So people have things like arthritis, people with limb loss, people with cardiovascular issues. I mean, the pool is wonderful because you're so much more buoyant. There's no stress on your joints. You don't have to worry about impact or any of those things.
They will learn the basics of kayaking, how to pull a boat, the strokes, how to balance within the boat, and if they get to the point, they'll learn to do a flip and then an upright. With scuba, they'll have a buoyancy compensator, they'll have a mask, they'll have fins, they'll wear a tank, they'll learn how to breathe underneath the water.
These First Clinics change people's outlook on life.
I've been doing adaptive recreation for years now. I have since I was a little kid. It was actually part of my physical therapy regimen. Back when I was very, very little, around the age of maybe 3 or 4. And now that I am 27, it's something that I just love to do. I love to swim, I love to be in the water, and it helps with my overall function. There's nothing better than them feeling independent. And this is where they can feel independent. To be on their own, to do their own thing, and to have fun while they're doing it.
For more info, visit opafirstclinics.org. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. There is so much to do with the Ann Arbor District Libraries. The possibilities seem endless. The institution provides the public with some of the latest technologies, but they also allow you to explore our history.
Technology has evolved to make the letterpress obsolete, but library patrons are bringing its artistry back to life.
This is Letterpress Lab in the secret lab in the basement of the Ann Arbor District Library downtown. It's every week, every Wednesday, and it's fun and addicting, and I've been doing it for a couple of years now.
Letterpress is a form of printmaking that deals explicitly with handset type and uses antique printing presses that you might have seen historically used to print books, newspapers, flyers, etc.
I am making some linoleum block prints that I carved based on some geometric abstract kind of winter tree ideas. I've done a whole bunch of lino cut illustration with poetry, setting metal type from our collection. I even published a chapbook here. I finished it a couple months ago after working on it for a year. It was all done here.
You put it together backwards, so you want it to be a mirror image of how you actually want it to look. You put it on the press, you ink it, you place your paper, adjust the pressure, and once you roll cylinder press over it, you're able to pull that first print and just experience the surprise of what's there.
So much fun. It's incredibly creative. There are people here who make beautiful pieces of art just out of type, and it's just fun to see.
Every time you touch a piece of type, you are experiencing and interacting with history of that piece of type and everyone who has used it to put a word together before. And I think that you're celebrating what people have decided is no longer useful and realizing that that is not the case and that there is joy in what we would normally have decided to throw away.
For more activities to explore at the Ann Arbor District Libraries, visit aadl.org. The freeze-thaw cycle in the cold months of the year can really cause some damage to our roadways. Learn about the pavement condition dashboard in this City Roundup in 60.
Hi, I'm Nick Hutchinson, City Engineer for the City of Ann Arbor. I'm here to show you our new pavement condition dashboard. The city evaluates the condition of our roads every 2 years using a system called PACER, which rates the pavement condition on a scale from 1, which is the worst, to 10, which is a brand new road. The dashboard you see here contains data that was collected in 2021. It shows the average ratings of our major and our local streets, along with the number of miles that fall into each of those rating categories. You can use the map on the right to zoom in on individual streets and click on them for more information. To utilize the dashboard, visit a2gov.org/A2 pavement condition.
Snow makes the winter months sparkle with fluffy flakes, but the powder can be deceptively heavy and problematic when shoveling, depending on the health and wellness of the person outside clearing the snow. The city has a program here to help those in need after a snowfall. Joining me is Brittany Patton, Recreation Supervisor for Ann Arbor Parks and Recreation. Welcome to the show, Brittany.
Thank you, Dana. I'm so excited to be invited to be on.
Can you tell us what the Snow Match program is? This is the first time I've actually heard of it.
Yeah. So it's our second year into it, and it's a public service that pairs residents with nearby neighbors who volunteer to assist them with snow removal on their sidewalks.
And why was it started? Was there a need for it? Did you guys notice that some sidewalks weren't being cleared? Were people contacting the city?
Kind of all of the above. Yep. And there have been like citations for not having your sidewalks cleared. I mean, just to face it, they're hazardous for everyone. And especially in Ann Arbor, we're encouraging residents to commute to work or school or activities by walking, biking, the bus, carpooling, all of which you need to use the sidewalks to utilize. So the Snow Match program was dreamed up by actually John Fournier, the current City of Ann Arbor Assistant City Administrator. He is a previous Boston, Massachusetts resident. And when he lived there, he participated in a program similar to Snow Match that was matching neighbors for snow shoveling support. So after, moving to Ann Arbor and working for the city, he recognized, a need for it here. And with Ann Arbor having such a strong sense of community, he thought that it would be a perfect place for neighbors seeking support.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about it. I have a baby, so he's a year old. He's not walking yet. So a lot of times when I go pick my daughter up from school, I have to park sort of far away and walk. And I'm always terrified of the sidewalk that isn't shoveled because I'm afraid I'm going to fall with a baby in my arms. So I think it's not just like, oh, your elderly neighbor can't get out there and shovel. It's really, there's people out walking their little dogs every day. Like you constantly are seeing people out, even in the harshest of weather. And it's really important that your sidewalks are clear. I know I'm like super conscious of it in my house. Like I'm like, oh, I better get out there the day of the snow just to clear at least the sidewalks if I can't get my driveway done.
Me too. And especially after, managing this program, I feel like I have a commitment that I need to put a good, put a good role model out there.
So how does it work? What are the eligibility requirements for someone that would need help with shoveling?
Yeah. So the criteria are, so either a resident needs to be 55 years or older, or they self-identify as have a disability and they do not have resources such as financial resources to hire a company to come and remove it, or family, friends, or knowing neighbors nearby to help them remove the snow.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention that, like, you obviously can hire a service, but those services can get pretty pricey, especially when you're on a fixed income.
Yeah, and it's not that you pay per shovel. It's you have to pay a lot of times, sign a contract for the entire season.
Yeah, and
So
then what? Sometimes you get like two snowfalls, and you're like, man, I just paid a lot of money for two snowfalls.
exactly.
So then what about the other end of it? So it's typically a volunteer and they live somewhere in the neighborhood of the person that needs help.
Yep. So the program, so people will sign up on our website, which is a2gov .org/slash snowmatch, and we have two different waivers. One's for residents seeking snow shovel support, and then one for residents that want to volunteer. And so once each of those groups of people sign up, their waiver gets submitted into a database, and the city uses some GIS software that matches volunteers and recipients within a 10-minute walk from each other. So that's roughly a half mile. And as we get the waivers, we go into this mapping software and we see, kind of where the two different dots align. And then we send an introductory email to both people, just letting them know they've been matched and to let us know if they have any questions. Typically at that point though, we let them kind of, meet each other and then make arrangements depending on, what time works for the volunteer and things like that.
Yeah, I think this is a really sort of fun idea too, because I think like sometimes when you're like, you'll see your neighbor out there and they're like snow blowing and you're like, man, I wish they'd hit my sidewalk. But like, this is really, you don't have to wait for that. You don't have to wait for like, hey, I hope they come over here kind of thing. Like someone's actually going to come to your house and help you. And especially like I have a sister, she's only in her 40s, but she has MS. She's in a wheelchair. She doesn't live in Ann Arbor, but it just makes me think of like this scenario where like she has gotten citations from the city she lives in for things like not bringing her garbage cans in and not removing the snow quick enough. And it's like, you don't know, the city and the people doing the citations don't necessarily know what is going on in someone's house. And if they're able-bodied enough, even though they might be younger, to get out and do those things.
Right. And we as people don't like to make assumptions too about people if they need support or they don't need support. And, aside from making the sidewalk safer, this is a program to try to alleviate some of that, mental angst of, oh gosh, this weekend it's predicted, 3 to 5 inches of snow. I'm not going to be able to get out there. What am I going to do? So it's, giving people a peace of mind that, they have someone that they can contact and come out and get things cleared up for them.
And it also sort of alleviates any guilt you might have. So if you're like, that really heavy snowfall we had, the real first snowfall we had this year, if you couldn't get out there and do it, and then you might feel guilty asking your neighbor to do it. But if you were a part of this program, your neighbor would just want to do it for you, and they're like willing and able to do it.
Right. And people want to help, and it's just, making that connection, and instead of, soliciting yourself as I'm here, it's, there's not that many platforms aside from like Nextdoor where people can, get the word out that they're available to help.
Have you seen many people join the program yet?
Yeah. So we started it in 2023, fall of 2022, excuse me. So when we first started it last year, we had 48 people signed up between, volunteers and recipients, and we were able to match 5 households. This year we've had 95 people signed up. 11 of those are not within city limits. So we unfortunately have to contact them and let them know that their address is outside of our GIS mapping software. But out of all of those people, we've had 22 households. So this is 45 people matched. One of them being a recipient that lives on a corner and has a very long sidewalk. So we've matched them with 2 volunteers. So, we've over doubled that, and it's just really nice that people are not only continuing to sign up, but continuing to spread the word. And, we have people like you, Dana, that are helping us get the word out, and hopefully this can just keep snowballing for years to come, and the program can just keep building.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really think it's a smart idea. And it really, you get to know people that you wouldn't necessarily know. You know, you get to know your neighbors that live on your street that are like directly next to you, but you don't necessarily get to know someone that lives a half mile away from your house.
Exactly. And we had a couple of emails this year from people saying they're not signing up again this year, not because they don't want to participate, but because the people that volunteered last year have already contacted them and want to volunteer to do their snow again this season. So it's making those connections that are lasting as well.
Yeah, I can totally see too, like why you would want to volunteer and help people. Because I know, like, when I'm out there and then I see like a neighbor that maybe it's a little tougher for them, I'm like, I should just do at least some of their sidewalk. I mean, my back starts hurting and I'm pretty young. I'm not like elderly, but snow is hard to remove.
Yeah, it is. And once it ices up and sometimes you have to kind of dig at it. And this program, the volunteers are not just helping this one resident neighbor, it's helping everybody that lives in the community in that neighborhood, just being able to get from point A to point B a lot safer. So the impact's a lot bigger than you initially would think.
Yeah, and the city does have that rule where you're supposed to remove, like, if you have an inch of snow within 24 hours, you're supposed to remove it. And I think, like, sometimes that can feel like, oh, what's an inch or whatever. But if you don't remove snow and then it continues to be cold, it's really hard to remove or virtually impossible. And then your sidewalk is icy and then it's like dangerous. And you don't want anything to happen on your sidewalk when people are walking.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, of course, there's the obvious. If you fall, you can, break a bone, you can get a concussion, you can have a head injury, but even just trying to balance on slippery surfaces, you can pull muscles and throw your whole body out of whack. So, just kind of being in the mindset to get it taken care of right at the get-go. That's, hopefully encouraging people to do that with this program.
Yeah, because like I said, when I I'm walking with a baby to pick my daughter from school. And I don't want to say what neighborhood because the sidewalks were not shoveled. So I had come up with this, like, I have to wear like my boots that are got a lot of grip on the bottom, but I'm also like, I can't lift up my feet. I'm shuffling because I'm so scared I'm going to fall with a baby in my arms. And then I'd have to like fall on my back or something just to save his life so he wouldn't fall forward. So like, this is like a real issue. Like, if you can't do it and you're eligible, you should be contacting the program because it's not safe. It's not safe for us walking out there. And there's no way around it. You have to walk places sometimes, even if you're like someone that isn't like a person that likes to do alternative commutes and you're in your car, you're still walking from your car to a location.
Right. Like you said, you park your car and you're just walking in the school to pick up your other kid. It's not that big of a distance. But,
yeah. But it's dangerous.
Right. You're mentally thinking about every step you take.
Believe me, when the snow melted, I was like, oh my God, thank God this snow is gone now. So I can just walk like a normal person again.
Oh, yeah. Well, and a lot of seniors that have mobility challenges, like stepping year round is a constant, like, conscious effort. We kind of this time of year allows us to see that we take walking on dry ground just for granted, in the summer and warmer months.
That's definitely true. Well, before we go, why don't you just tell people why they should contact the program if they need it and why you should help your neighbors and volunteer?
Yeah, well, I mean, as we just talked about, it's not safe walking on these slippery surfaces. And besides making it a safer environment, it fosters a stronger community and neighborhood relationships, and it gives people a chance to give back in a way that benefits a multitude of people. And it just takes that mental stress off of people that can't get out there and physically shovel their sidewalks on their own. And so, if you want to be a part of the Snow Match program, you can always volunteer by signing up on our website. But if you can't commit that time, just spreading the word and letting people know that this program exists we've been able to extend our reach quite a bit this year in our second year of the program, but there's still areas of the city that we aren't reaching. And, we have had people in those areas sign up to receive services, but we haven't always had volunteers sign up to be matched with them.
Yeah, I was actually curious if you like get more hits from certain neighborhoods because people know about it. They're like, oh yeah, my neighbor John is doing this and I actually needed the help. So now I signed up for the program. Where like maybe some neighborhoods you don't have as many takers and they don't really know about the program.
Right. Yep. The downtown area seems to have been a better area to spread the word. But we did a bunch of research between last season and this season, just some of the different community centers and schools and just different public facilities that we could ask to share our flyers and our information. So hopefully that it continues to grow.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany, for talking about the Snow Match program with us today.
Thanks for having me, Dana.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching and tune in next time to FYI.